Hello and welcome to Show Biz Buzz with Bruno. I'm your host, Michael Bruno, and as always, we're presented by madstheater.com. Today, we're here with Four Seasons Theater Company and their production of Company. And we're here with Sarah Marty and Chaz Ingram. Thank you for coming on this blizzarding weekend.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you for braving the elements and coming. So, first of all, Chaz, welcome back to Madison.
Thank you.
We're so happy he's back in town.
I know. We're so thrilled
happy.
to have you back. So I understand in our little pre-conversation that this was one of the reasons why you came back was to do this show.
It was one of the major deciding factors in coming back, mainly because I wanted to see, am I going East Coast again? Am I going to go West Coast again? I mean, I've almost moved to South Carolina for a bit. Am I staying in Texas? But Madison's always been home, and theater here is really good comparatively to a lot of other places, so it just seemed right.
And where were you just before coming back here?
I was in San Antonio for 7 years, doing some
7 years.
Just about. And then 6 before that in New York, 6 or 7, and then just doing theater down there.
And has Company been on your bucket list?
Yes, forever and ever and ever. I missed it the last time around when
Stoughton did it.
Stoughton did it.
Stoughton did it.
The last one
Recent.
I
Tim
saw
Riley
was,
did it.
Yeah.
Stoughton.
was probably Middleton's performance.
And that was before even then. Yeah.
With Brian Aker, I think.
Brian Aker.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
that's it. Yep. I think he was 24 at the time. So you've just needed to wait until you were
Had to
somewhere
wait.
close to the right age for
Exactly.
I think. You're selling yourself short, though, on your career in San Antonio.
Oh,
A little bit.
A little.
Gentleman's Guide to Murder.
Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder.
I would love to have seen you in
Mary
that. I love
Poppins,
that
right?
show. Yeah, you'd be
Newsies.
perfect.
That's what originally brought me down there. I think I did like 7. We did once down there.
So,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
easy shows.
Easy
Don't require
shows.
a lot of
Not
talent
a
or
lot.
ability.
Not a lot.
Well,
No.
you don't throw away. So sometimes a piece of cake for you.
Yeah, no, it is not ever. And no one has ever said that. And anybody that does is lying.
Well, and one of the shows that Chaz did that he brought to us was you were one of the very first productions ever outside of the company that originated the show to do All Is Calm.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
It was their second year doing it, and I had just I was just about to finish Newsies, and they asked if I wanted to stay and do this crazy a cappella, wartime story, and I was like, heck yeah, I love barbershop. I grew up in barbershop. Let's go. And so I did it for them for a couple years, and I remember after coming up and being like, man, you would love this show. It was you and me and Thomas.
Thomas,
sitting down for
You're
lunch.
like, Sarah, you need to look at this show.
Check this show out. It's awesome. And you've been doing it for
We just did our fifth year.
Yeah, fifth year.
Sort of fifth year.
Yeah,
Yep.
We came out and talked about that, how great that it's become this,
It's like
yearly
tradition.
event. Yeah, it is. It's
But it was all
wonderful.
because of Chaz, because Chaz did it in San Antonio and was like, you guys need to do this. This is the perfect show for Wisconsin.
All is calm.
And for 4 seasons. Yeah.
So, Sarah, was there any discussion ever about doing the new, updated female version of Company?
It's not actually available for licensing.
Oh, it isn't?
No, it's not. So if you're going to license Company, the only one that's available is the original version with Robert or Bobby being played by a man. They have 2 orchestrations. There's the original orchestration with the really big orchestra, and then we have the one that I think is 14 players. There's an alternate orchestration, which is closer to the new version. But in terms of the gender swap, it's not licensable because the tour is actually out. And as long as it's on tour, they're not going to license that version because that would be competing with the Broadway tour.
Right.
So.
I gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. So tell me a little bit about everybody's doing Soundheim. It's like every company in Madison. It's like Soundheim-a-palooza.
That's a little hard to put on a postcard, but you're right. Yeah.
You have to stretch it out.
Soundheim, just turn over for the rest of the word.
It unfolds.
Just,
That's an expensive marketing budget there.
So how did that come about? How did the idea that these companies, were they already set up, or did somebody think, hey, why don't we find out? So tell us how that came about.
That's a great question. So there are 4 of us who are working together, collaborating this spring on a Spring of Sondheim, 4 Sondheim shows in 4 months. So you can definitely get your Sondheim on. And a big piece of it is with the loss of Mr. Sondheim, right, passing away recently. Many of us who are in musical theater appreciate his immense legacy and the craft and the lyrics and the music and in the shows that the many shows that are in his canon, right? And we also collaboratively, a lot of us talk to each other, producers and presenters. What are you thinking about? So we were in that season planning process individually for Four Seasons and for Middleton Players Theater and for University Opera. And Thomas Kasdorf, who's an artistic associate for Four Seasons, is the artistic director for Middleton Players Theater. And then Thomas is part of the faculty for the University Opera program. And then I'm part of the Friends group for the University Opera program. And David Ronas, who runs University Opera, has directed for Four Seasons. And so we all talk to each other all the time about what are you thinking? And part of that is also because Four Seasons and Middleton Players Theater, we both offer additional performance opportunities for students who are majoring in voice at the university. We have auditions, and we often encourage those students that Thomas is working with to come and work with our company. So we always talk, who's in town? Yeah. Who do you know? Who's around? And Thomas and I were having a conversation, and I mentioned what we had 2 different Sondheim shows, 3 different Sondheim shows I was looking at for Four Seasons. We were thinking of Merrily or Company or doing a little night music again, because I just love a little night music so much. And we did it about 10 years ago, and it's just one of my favorites. And then Thomas said, well, we've been talking about some Sondheim for University Opera. Let me talk to David and see what he's thinking. And then Thomas had already been looking at Merrily for Middleton Players. So at the same time, we were all percolating on Mr. Sondheim. So then it just became a conversation between those 3 partners to say, okay, what do we think is the best fit for our respective audiences? Company is a better fit for Four Seasons than, say, University Opera.
Right.
A little night music is the best for folks who are training in voice in terms of operatic requirements, and University Opera had already done Sweeney Todd in 2022. So we sort of went through all of that and then kind of figured out, okay, who's going to put in for what. We didn't know if we'd get rights for Merrily or for Company, because Company's been restricted because of the tour. So they're not just handing out the rights for that. And Merrily, the same thing, with it recently being brought. We didn't know. But we threw our hats in the ring, talked to some folks at MTI, and we landed those shows. And then we thought, you know what? Our dates are February and March, and May. Wonder what Megan's got up her sleeve for Music Theater in Madison.
Hey.
Right? So
probably thinking Sondheim.
I know. So we just reached out to Megan, like, hey, Megan, we got this thing. What do you want to do, a show in April? And she said, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to do Marry Me a Little. Let me see if I can find a venue. This could be perfect. And it just kind of fell into place. So
cool.
You asked for a short response. That was a long one, but that's how it happened.
No, we like long responses.
Okay, all right.
Because then I don't have to do the work. It's wonderful.
That's how it came together.
It's a host's dream when they had it going on. So interestingly, why is it, now you know, why has nobody done Follies? Is it that difficult?
So
Because
we
that's
did
such
Follies.
a great show.
We did Follies 07, maybe?
07?
I can't remember.
Oh, what a
it was a
huge show that
It was early. I should know the years, but it's been a while. But we did Follies at the Union Theater in the early years of Four Seasons. And it's a huge show. The orchestra is gigantic. The cast is massive because you have the
2 timelines.
the retired performers who are in their 50s and their 60s, and then you have them as their younger selves in their 20s. So your cast requirements are massive, your costume requirements are massive, your orchestra is huge. It's a really expensive show to do well. And it's such a beautiful show. You don't want to do it in a way that doesn't do justice to the material.
Well, that's true. You really can't water it down.
Right. And if only you had 3 companies that worked together that could somehow collaborate in some magical way
I know.
and pull the talent from, I don't know, the whole town.
Yeah.
And a budget to support it.
My
And a
Lord.
budget to
Because,
support it.
you know,
I mean, I think if we were going to do Follies today, I would probably want $200,000 minimum to be able to do it.
Easily. And
Easily.
the Capitol
hear that?
Theater would be the beautiful.
perfect
that's
space.
The perfect space to
yeah,
do
it'd be
that
gorgeous.
show.
It'd be gorgeous. But we did the Rodgers and Hammerstein concert in October of 2023 for our anniversary.
Oh.
2 days was $55,000 for our production, and almost half of that was the venue.
Right? Wow. Yeah.
So if you're going to do Follies and be in there for a week, and maybe, when people ask, why don't you do 2 weekends when you're a big theater like that?
Yeah.
It costs a lot of money to do those. It's a labor bill, it's the venue bill, it's a big space. You have to build a bigger set to fill the space, all those things. So it hasn't happened, but maybe maybe a Follies fan out there would like to contribute and help us make it happen, because it would be pretty amazing.
If there's a Sondheim Foundation out there.
Foundation out there with some money. We have some very talented people who would love to work together on something like that. But
hello, Frauci Foundation. Hello.
They're wonderful supporters.
They are amazing.
They are amazing supporters. We've been really lucky.
Oh.
Both the Frauci Foundation and the Pleasant Rowland Foundation have supported Four Seasons Theater for many years, and there's a reason I say thank you from the stage. We couldn't do what we do with those 2 foundations. The Forest Foundation's been great, and of course the Madison Community Foundation is the reason most of us can be at Overture.
Right.
But who knows? Maybe there's someone out there with a special little bit. But I will say, Bruno, Michael, I almost said Bruno because I said Bruno off the air.
Hey,
Michael.
I answer.
I know. For Sondheim fans, there are several little Easter eggs in the choreography for you to pick up on. And one of them is we do have some Follies girls.
We do.
In company. You'll also see little bits of
West Side
Story. Because Sondheim, wrote the lyrics to West Side Story. Little bits of that, and there's a couple other ones as well. So,
keep
when you
an
come
eye
to the
out.
show, keep an eye out.
So, speaking of which, how restricted are they in the rights to put things like that or to do things that don't really follow in the canon of the way company is written?
So some shows have licensed choreography. Like if you do Chicago, you can license the actual choreography. West Side Story, same thing.
Or Mary Poppins.
Where the choreographer...
Fiddler, Rosebuds, Rosebuds.
Yep, exactly. So those productions, just like you license the music or the book, they have a handbook where the choreography documented in writing what the specific choreography is, and then you can rent and license it. And it's what you should do if it's licensable. You shouldn't just watch the video and then copy it, right?
Right.
Company doesn't have that. There's nothing in the rules around how you decide to stage it, what you want to do for choreography, anything like that. So it really was a conversation with Kate Yayeski, our choreographer. And I just sort of said, hey, let's put some little Easter eggs in here for the Sondheim fans. Let's make it kind of fun. And she kind of ran with it and made it spectacular, made it really fun. So,
I love it. Because there was a revival when they actually, the characters played the instruments on stage. Wasn't that with
Pone?
06, 07?
Yeah,
with
actually
Raoul.
play like a tuba or something crazy.
Yep.
And the Glockenspiel.
The Glockenspiel.
That was
the Glockenspiel.
Thomas and I were talking about that last night. We were making the cake for this show. By the way, thank you, Zach. So it was kind of in the round. It's
kind of in the round.
There
was a grand piano on stage.
Yeah, I mean Raoul started playing Being Alive at the end, but Joanne plays literally just the triangle or the glass.
You're Patty. What else do you have to do? I know.
But yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine trying to, especially with the amount of time we did to put this show on, to be like, make sure everybody brings in their instruments too. Like,
and to play Sondheim. You're not playing boom chick.
Right.
Boom chick, boom chick.
Yeah. It's not German pa music.
No. This
Exactly.
is like very difficult instrumental and vocal music. Yeah.
So here's a great producer question. Do you have to pay them orchestra? Do you have to pay them as orchestra and as actors? If they play
you do.
If they were union too, especially, right?
Because they're all union actors. That's an equity production. So you're paying if they also play an instrument. Yep.
Wow. Well, there goes that budget through the
right.
And if you're in the orchestra on Broadway, there's a supplement for each additional instrument you play, which is why some of the read books, like from some guys in the 1940s had a really good gig because they would have a friend who'd be like, you can play clarinet one, and then we're going to put some saxophone in there, and you're going to play the bass clarinet for 3 measures, so you get another little supplement. And so, on Broadway, there's all these other ways, which makes sense. It's additional work, but other ways that goes into the contract. Same thing with like Once.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I mean, when we did it, I played 5 instruments on stage, and each one is its own little stipend. And then, I mean, anytime you have to, like, when we roll the piano out, consider it also moving set piece. Like, you're not supposed to move your own set pieces, so then that's another thing. So they would have to be like, well, we don't want to do that. We'll have somebody come out. We'll push the piano off. Don't pick up that chair.
Put it on a rope. We're just trying to pull the rope in. So talk to me a little bit about your other cast members.
Oh, boy.
Because that's a roster, let me tell you.
And we when we were working on putting the cast together, I invited several actual couples.
I love that.
To audition.
I love
to
that.
audition. But why don't you jump? You should.
Oh, my
jump
God.
in.
So it's also been so great because I haven't either been on stage here or even seen some of these people or been on stage with some of them in over 10 years or more. So, for instance, like just getting to work with the Blakesleys again, the last time I saw them, they were literally moving out of Madison after Rent in like 2011, and I was holding their infant child who now they're coming to rehearsals. We've got Kate and Dan Yayeski, who have been some of my closest friends for years. I mean, Kate doing not getting married is just a hysterical stunner. It's been fantastic, and of course Zach and Isabel. It's interesting to watch the juxtaposition between life and art when it comes because there's some themes that happen in this show. So you get to like
on the nose.
So when you see like we're gonna change this little bit, can you be a little more aggressive? They're like, yes, I think I can.
We can do that.
I can manifest that in some way. But you'd think
something that might inspire that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, right. What is it? Life imitates art. Art imitates life.
Exactly.
Also, like, haven't worked. I've never been on stage. I didn't realize till the show that I've never done a show with Jessica Jane with him.
Are you kidding me?
I don't know how I worked at the
how did that
Bartel
happen?
as long
How'd you
as
do
I did.
all those shows
Yeah,
with
it's
Theater Guild and
somehow like
Strollers.
or with Sarah Strike.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, it's an all-star cast too. I mean,
It's incredible. When I first saw the cast, I was like, oh my God.
The girlfriends came in. I have never had that because that's hard music when drive a person
really
crazy.
hard
And they came in day one for their music.
like Andrew's sisters.
Wow.
Bam!
Ready
they
to
knew
go.
it.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we have so Jessica Jane is playing Joanne, and she's paired up with Dave Connor, who's Larry, and we've met Dave when he auditioned to be the general in Hello Girls, so folks will recognize him for that. He's got a beautiful voice. It's wonderful.
Yeah, he was one of the fathers when I did Fantastics.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
Oh, how
really?
wonderful!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. I think I've worked with everybody in that cast
Yep.
except for you.
Are you kidding me?
I don't think so. I thought we'd either did a Blitz back in the day or possibly, I thought there was this random show at the Bartel. But we've always, again, it's always either been adjacent.
Yeah, but there's never been, our paths have always crossed. And of course,
Yeah.
we met when you were a baby.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, but we've never actually worked on a show at the same
2003.
together.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, because I don't, did you do elegies? You weren't in elegies,
No,
were
I
you?
wasn't.
You were gone by then?
I think so.
Yeah, because that would have been the only thing I could think would have been a huge ensemble of like, there were 30 of us in there.
Yeah.
But that was the only thing I could think of where we would have actually
That
been
would
on
have
the
been
stage.
close.
On the stage, yeah, but no, that's. I looked at the cast and I was like, "Oh my God, we did that. We did falsettos.
Right.
We did this. We did.
It's you were upstairs at the Bartel and I was downstairs at the Bartel and vice versa.
That's exactly
Are you playing
right.
6 Degrees of Separation
Right.
with Michael
Right.
Bruno? I think
Right.
we are. I know. Drawing the red string between each person's picture, connecting everybody all the way through. I think so.
I am Madison's version of Seth Rudetsky.
There we go.
Thank you very much.
That's it. Kevin Bacon, here I come. That's it. That's it.
Except I can't play the piano, so I'm screwed. No. So what? How joyous is this rehearsal process for you? I mean, I know it's tough.
Very joyous.
Okay, let's just preface it with the fact that he's the one person who's on stage the entire
I get to leave twice.
Yeah.
barely.
I get to leave twice.
There are
It's called intermission.
Yeah. Barely.
Actually, they're going extremely well. I'm not gonna lie. It's working so well, and everybody. I mean, this is a yes and business, as everybody knows,
Yeah,
unless
yeah.
you're Thomas Kasdorf, who I always say is the no and man. No, and we'll try it actually
learned
this
that
way.
from
You're right. It's going swimmingly. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you have so much dialogue, so much musical content that's happening in very, very quickly.
Very quickly.
I mean,
Yep.
Kate keeps saying, Act 1
Yep.
is not a sprint. Act 1 is a marathon, and Act 2 is a
It's a
sprint.
sprint.
Yeah, true.
And it's true. And I mean, we've only. I remember after our second week looking around. I think it was Sarah was like, we've only had 9 rehearsals. And I was like,
And we'd already blocked the whole show.
the whole show. Yeah. So we were just starting to be like, no, we're not going to call for line. Okay.
Okay.
But it's going so well. I'm not going to lie. Costuming, we've been basically working kind of since day. People have been at least bringing in stuff to be prepared, to be ready to be on that stage. We've had props that have been in there basically since day one. So the rehearsal process has gone amazingly. I'm not going to lie.
That's great. So another question.
Fast.
Very fast.
Very fast. Yeah.
Speaking of costumes, are you setting it in the 70s, or is it contemporary, or is it just kind of nebulous? It's like just any time.
I'm
Or
going
is
to
that
say
is that an
yes,
Easter
yes.
egg
So I
that we
made
can't talk about?
I made a very conscious choice. So the show debuted in 1970, which means that he was thinking about it, percolating all the things, writing it 68, 69,
Right.
maybe even 67. And one of the things that you see a lot in film and TV and on stage is people decide that like this is what 1970 looks like.
Right.
But in reality, when trends are happening, not everyone adopts the trends at the same time. So the clothes you're going to see on stage range from 1960 to 1969, and you'll see that more traditional Mad Men, JFK and Jackie O sort of early to mid 1970s style, and then you'll also see a couple of folks like Sarah Strike and Zach as Sarah, and then as David, who are going towards the 1968-69 with the pants with the flare, with the turtlenecks and that kind of thing. So we really have a mixture.
And the mustaches.
All the mustaches. There will be mustaches. Yes. Because that's how it is in real life. People again, there's like you'll see that range even today when we look at people. You walk down the street. Not everybody looks exactly like whatever the trend is right now.
True.
So it's a real mixture, which I think makes it more interesting.
And the whole telling thing is the very opening is that you don't hear a busy signal anymore. So it's like,
And
the phone,
answering service,
phone, yeah,
right,
yeah,
right,
you know,
yep.
that's people even kids don't even know what that is. Like, what's that sound?
Yep.
What is that?
Yep.
What do you mean? What's a rotary phone? What is it? But that whole busy signal thing, and that it's like
the beep for the voicemails.
Yeah,
all of that, right?
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Cool. Okay.
So the show it's the script as it was when it debuted. So it does have all of those things technologically, but it's still really relevant. I mean, the message of the show, and it's life, love, and friendship.
Right.
The quest for trying to find where you fit in, trying to connect with other human beings, all of those things are just as resonant today as they were when the show premiered in 1970, right? So there's little bits that feel anachronistic, or so speak, but we're trying to ride that line between when it came out and then who we are today. So you'll kind of see a little bit of a mixture, I would say.
And what's it like working with Thomas? I mean, he's been your buddy for so long.
What's it like to work with a genius?
Yeah, there you go. Do the lines ever blur for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and we should, Thomas is the music director, but he's also doing private vocal coaching for several cast members, and he's been part of the directing team, because it really is Kate and Thomas and I working together to figure out how to craft each scene in each moment.
It's been a lot of getting done with work at 2:00, running from the Capitol to go directly to Thomas's office at Humanities, working by myself for 2 hours on usually whatever it is we're going to work that night, just running as far as I get. Him getting done with his work, coming in, me going, here's what I'm going to try, and him going, we're going to fix that. We're going to fix it. Why don't you try? No, Ann. Why don't you try it like this? So I mean, I think we've been connected at the hip for 2 months. I think pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah. But he's probably would be the best man at my wedding someday ever.
Robert, why did you
one of my best
marry?
friends in the entire world, extremely talented, extremely knowledgeable, extremely humble.
Yeah.
And I mean, ask anybody that's ever worked with him. You know what I mean? He can do just about anything.
He was a baby when we did Little Shop of Horrors. I mean, he was really. We were both babies. What am I talking about? I'm aging myself. I had black hair then.
Okay, all right.
I had a full black beard. No, but so question: how did you meet him? What's that story?
I remember the exact day and the exact time. I was doing my very first show called Ubu Wa or Ubu Roy at the Bartell. This was circa 2002 or 3. I just moved back to Madison from Baraboo. I'd been in Baraboo for like elementary school, middle school.
Were you in high school?
Huh?
You were.
I moved back like right before
high school,
like 8th grade.
8th grade. I was going to say, you must have been 8th grade. Yep.
And Jay Patrick came to see me in a show randomly I was doing at the school, because him and Thomas used to go and scout. For
that's what we
the
do
next generation, right?
Yeah, you want to.
And they came and saw me, and after one of the shows I did, they were like, "Can you come and audition for this thing?" And at that time, they were doing another show. They were like, they gave me a couple pages. I came in, read, and then you're doing the show. I knew nothing about any of it. So I met Jay and Thomas the very first time for like, I think 20 minutes, because they had another show on the stage that they were about to start. They were at places.
Right.
Because then you have the theater.
Yeah.
You want to rent the theater separate.
And I'll never forget.
Yep.
Jay kept cutting all my parts. Just kept cutting all my stuff and shortening it. It's like, nah, we wouldn't want you to do that. Keep going. So then I got down to just being this. I was playing like a Victorian queen with like the large, wig on and the pink dress, right? And this big Cockney accent. And I was so mad, and I'll never forget, because I was out back, basically just like almost crying, and Thomas is out back. Who's only a year older than me, with the long hair and very gauche looking, and he's just like, "You doing all right?" And if you ask him, he would say, "I was so annoyed by him when I first met him. I could not stand him. I used to be a little more hyper back in the day, apparently." But then after that, it was during that show in Ubu, I think we became fast friends pretty close after that, and that was to 02, 03.
Wow. And was that when you were working at La Brioche?
No, that was before even then. I was.
Oh,
really?
I was in like the 8th grade at that point.
Oh, wow.
And Thomas was in high school.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Middleton High School. Yep.
Yeah, because then freshman year they came to see me, and The Man Who Came to Dinner, and they came, and that was when I started doing shows at the Bartell regularly.
Cool.
Right around then.
Excellent. So, what's up after Company? If you announce that at all? Is that a secret? Is that just between us? Entre nous.
So we will every year, if we want to do All Is Calm, we have to apply for All Is Calm, and normally that we're not able to do that until the summer. So we'll have a conversation and decide. It was 5 years it, or do we want to try to do it again? If we're going to do it again, what would we like? How do we move forward? That sort of thing. So that'll be on the table. It's been really successful. It's a beautiful story. People connect with it in a way that they might not with other pieces of theater, and it's a very moving piece. And every year it feels more and more timely and more relevant. So that'll be on the table to see.
Yeah, no kidding.
We'll talk about it. We'll see if it's available, and then decide. Okay, if it's available, what does it look like for this coming year? And that's our. And we have to apply for dates at Overture, and because we're not a resident, we have to wait until they assign to non-resident dates. So we've put dates in. We won't know what dates we are awarded until end of March, maybe. So it all has to kind of wait until we know. Do we have 1 week? Do we have 2 weeks? Do we have 2 slots? Do we have 3 slots? Just depends on how that all shakes out. Excuse me. For one of the slots, we're looking at doing an original sort of cabaret type program that would be Broadway Goes to Hollywood. And we've put together a lot of cabaret shows over the year. Tamara Banyana does an amazing outreach program that goes to over 20 retirement communities and libraries in the community every single year. So we might just artistically say, like, hey, let's put this together. It's flexible cast size. You can work with whoever you want to. Do that maybe for a weekend. So that's on the table for one of the weeks. And then Thomas and a wonderful pianist in town, Sadako Hoyami, had this amazing 2 grand pianos, back-to-back, very Lawrence Welk, musical program that is all these 2 piano settings of Broadway. So the West Side Story suite and some Sondheim suites and things too. So that would probably be part of that week too. And then this one I can't talk about too much, but we're, I know, what can I say that I can't say?
It's just us.
We are working with a very talented local playwright and another theater company in town to co-develop a new musical play.
Oh,
wow.
So we're still negotiating and figuring it all out, but if that all comes together, that would be in March for us, the reading part of it would be March of next year. So we'd kind of work on the musical part of the storytelling and then pass it off for the other company to then pick it up and work on the script and taking it forward. So stay tuned on that one. We're negotiating, and fingers crossed we can get it together. So
nice.
Yeah.
So Chaz, darling, are you planning on?
Bobby, darling.
So are you planning on staying in Madison?
for the immediate future, yes, I am. I've got some other shows also coming up kind of immediately. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to be around for a little bit. And I missed Madison. I really did. You know what I mean? Everywhere I've lived, I've always called Madison home. Like, I'm going home to visit. You know, always. So I'm planning on sticking around at least for a year and a half. We'll see.
And the silence comes over the room
I know.
as the phone cover and the emails start going in.
No, I can't give it all away.
Well,
Come on now.
That's good. Yeah, don't give it all away.
You never know what opportunities. I mean,
So
not to be weird about it, because you haven't been in Madison for a long time.
Long time.
And who knows what opportunities will come from being in this show. This is the first chance for a lot of folks who haven't
true.
seen you on stage in forever.
I also haven't been on stage in over 3 years. I took a hiatus post-COVID just because I was tired.
Yeah.
And just needed a break. And art really got hit.
Yes.
Post-COVID, as everybody knows.
Yep.
So I just needed a little bit of a break. So it's a hell of a way to come out of retirement.
There you go.
Well, you know, doll. So you open this coming
Thursday. Thursday. I know.
Thursday.
Thursday.
You're on your way to your Sitz probe today.
We are.
Right?
First rehearsal with the cast and orchestra together. Yep. We've got a wonderful conductor in Eric Anderson, who's out the director of bands at Verona High School, but we've worked with him for many, many years. And then Jeff Krieger, our rehearsal pianist, will be there on keyboard 1. So great team and really good orchestra lined up. So I'm excited for everyone to get to be together.
It's going to be a good one today.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
And it's Capitol Theater at the Overture?
No, Playhouse.
Oh, Playhouse. Sorry.
Playhouse Theater. No, Playhouse.
Sorry, Playhouse. Well, that's been because it's more intimate.
Exactly. That's why it's perfect for the show.
It's going to be great for this show, too.
Yeah.
Especially with the floor out, being actually on the actual floor. There's no stage.
Yeah, we took the deck out completely.
Yeah, so it's going to be, we're going to be right here.
Cool.
Yep.
Whoa, cool. So I'm sure tickets are already on sale.
They're already on sale. So we're up February 20th through March 2nd. Tickets are at fourseasonstheater.com or overture.org.
What?
Overture.org?
No. Publisher.org.
That's a new website. I don't
No.
like that.
It's alternative.
We're doing hair. We're doing Let My People Come. Wonderful. Lovely. Thank you so much for braving the elements and coming today. And best of luck with your Sits Probe and Tech Week from hell, I'm sure.
It's going to be tight.
but
It's going to
it'll
be
be
tight. It'll be
fine.
fun. It'll be
It'll
fun.
be
It's going to be
fine.
tight.
But, you know, knowing this cast and knowing these people as well as I do, it's going to be a not to miss show because, number one, it's one of my favorite, I remember wearing out my vinyl, I'm sorry, honey, of the original Broadway cast album of Company, playing over and over and over and over and over again. So I'm delighted with everybody in this cast. And
thank you.
It's under great hands with you and Thomas.
you.
And I really think that bringing you back to your return to the stage.
The prodigal son is returned. Yes.
Seriously, get tickets because you will not want to miss this. You'll be very sorry if you do. So again, thank you for tuning in today. I know it was an early time. It was like, who does the coffee talk in the morning?
Because we got rehearsal.
That's right.
Exactly. But thank you for accommodating that. And
Thank you.
Keep warm, keep safe, and we will see you next time. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Ben. And thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Chaz.
Thank you.
And we will see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.